Now, PI might be one of the most lucrative things you can do out there, but it is a little complicated, so I've got a couple tools for you to be able to make sure that you can get the most ISK per hour out of your passive income. So if you want the best Eve guides, you came to the right place. Ladies and gentlemen, Loru here, digital advertiser, content creator, and Eve enjoyer for the better part of 10 years now, and we're not going to talk about stuff in-game, except for this. This is about 2 to 4 days worth, depending on the character, across 2 of my characters. From just this week, I was able to take the P2s on a couple of my characters and transform them into P3s and P4s. It takes about 7 more characters, 2 to 3 weeks per character, to get the items up that I need to make this kind of stuff. And since I have a surplus of P2 PIs, I can churn out P3s, P4s as I need. Right here, we got about 700 million ISK, and I got more cooking. This takes a lot of planning, so I wanted to show you all some tools that I use to keep myself honest to make the machine continue moving forward. And the first one is going to be Licom Epi, a super simple tool that visualizes all things PI. And this is one of the first hurdles of PI, is knowing what makes what. We're starting with this one because it's super easy. If I mouse over nanites, you will see the basic stuff that's used to make nanites, and also what nanites can be made into, and then what those mats can be made into, etc. But you can also see the planets on this side of the screen. Those are the planets that are able to make base metals and microorganisms, the P0s. You can make nanites really anywhere across every single planet inside of New Eden. But if I go down to oxides, it's really only made on gas, ice, and storm planets. So if you have an area of space trying to set a PI that you just have barren planets, you can mouse over that and see all the things you can make. Or if you decide, hey, I really want to make broadcast nodes, you can see the various ways to make that. Really helpful tool to visualize the things you need to make the PI you want. The link to all of these will be in the description for you, so definitely go check that out. Super easy, okay? Now, the next tool might look the same, but it's a level deeper than what we just saw. You still get the nice visuals of which material makes what, but now I can have sticky materials. Yes, I can say, I want to make transmitters. I left click this. It doesn't just hold my place by highlighting this button here. It also is going to update this section down here with the various monies that have to do with transistors. You can see the average price per M3 is going to be just under 9,000 ISK. Per item, we're making just over 13,000 ISK. You can even see the difference between buy orders and sell orders. Very useful in planning out what costs what. But it doesn't stop there. Let's say you want to see the inputs of this. You hover over transmitter, or really any of these, and press I. It's now going to highlight the inputs for transmitter. Then you can go to plasmoids, press I, it shows those inputs. Chiral structures, press I, etc. And then you can mouse over the various resources and look at this box right here and see how it changes depending on the resource. So I see plasmoids are that much money, chiral structures are that much money, etc. The planet you gather, whatever you're moused over, also updates. You can see here I have chiral structures. If I go down to plasmoids, we have an added storm planet because that is another planet you can get plasmoids on. We cover all of this in our intro to PI guide video. That'll be in the description for you. In the full PI playlist, check it out. Thanks very much. The last thing this does is if you mouse over the thing you're trying to make and press O, again, similar to the last tool, but lets you choose exactly what you're going to do. I typically use this tool over the first tool just because I use the ISK per M3 and all the other things. I'm beyond the basics. I need something more real. Speaking of more real, let's check out this next tool. We've got Panto. I think I'm pronouncing that right. It might be PI Avanto. Either way, what this is going to do and what I use it for is planning. We're going to be able to see multiple characters and their PI timings on this tool. Now here I have 2 alts that I've plugged in. These guys are not running PI on every single one of their planets. I have them in like a stasis mode right now. As I've told you, PI is a faucet. All my characters can do it, but I might not want to do all my PI sometimes, so I might only do it on some characters. This tool lets me track which ones are actively making stuff. The main thing to look at here are the timers. I have this tool set up on my laptop, for example, with all of my accounts, and I can see when I have to sign in and which account has to sign in without checking every single character. For those of you with one account, you might say this is super easy, but I have more than 5 accounts that we have publicly shown, and each one has all 3 characters on it. It can get messy, and this tool lets you track what's what and shows you where you're going to see the planet it's on exactly. I'm showing you these alts here because I'm actually moving out of this system on these alts. I'm not staying staying there very much longer. I see you, gankers. Watch my videos trying to get information. Ah, you're sneaky, aren't ya? So use this tool to be able to track your timers and see what's what without having to sign in. The next tool is not going to be something people are unaware of. Yes, this is Eve Tycoon. Now, we specifically are going to be using the industry calculator section. You can find this by going under tools and clicking industry calculator. Come on, I know you know how to read a sidebar. And what we're going to use this for is to see if we're going to make money with our PI when we use industry to transform it into bigger, better items. For example, I'm making auto integrity preservation seals. So I type that into the blueprint formula section here. I'm going to type in the number of runs I want to use there. Is it research? That's this next section. We have 10 and 20, so we're just going to go there. I believe I have 50 runs coming up, so we're just going to go ahead and put 50 on this number. Now let's just say I'm in an NPC station in perimeter. This is going to be the high-sec crafting. You want to make sure you fill out the rest of these based on what your tax rate is. You can see that by opening up the industry tab in game. I'm in Parchment right now, so stuff's going to look a little bit different than y'all. You open up your industry window and go to the manufacturing section under facilities. That's 1, 2, 3. There we go. Easy peasy for you, okay? You're going to mouse over this like little industry looking symbol, and it's going to show you all the things that you can make there. And this is where you're going to get your tax and the system cost index. You're going to use these numbers to fill in all of these things. Just if you see one, fill it in. If not, Google around, ask around, you'll be able to find the numbers you need. This is important because we're really trying to calculate the margin percentages. I'll show you why in just a moment. So if we see we're trying to run this 50 times, it'll make 150 of this item. It's going to cost me about 7 million ISK, it looks like, but we're going to be able to make 12 million ISK with a profit of 4 million ISK an item with a margin of 46%. There's a reason I make these, y'all, I tell you. And just to simplify all this whole thing, you're gonna look right here. If you see green, you are good. Just be sure you double check all your numbers on the left-hand side here to be sure. It's important to look at all those numbers because if I load up, let's say a retriever blueprint and I'm making it in high sec, you can see as of the recording of this video, if I buy out those mats, I'm gonna actually make less money. And if I just sold the base mat, I'll literally lose money. If I build a retriever, don't do it as of this recording. So to sum up, use the Eve Tycoon tool to see if you're gonna make money, turning your PI from basic PI mats into bigger, better things. Now, the final tool we have for you is Atom for Eve. You're gonna have seen this in our other videos, and it's worth mentioning again because this one tool is absolutely revolutionized how I do all of my PI. Let me show you. So we go up to the PI button here, and we're gonna click on Chain Chart, and this is the tool that I'm gonna use to plan every single one of my characters, y'all. I need to see if these items are profitable before I go after them. What this chain chart does is you're going to start at P0s on the left side, go down the chain chart, and if you see green at the end, it means that you will have a profitable chain, turning P0s into 1s, into 2s, and then to 3s in this case. And we might have an entire video on Atom for Eve because there's just so much to talk about, but the short of it is this bottom bar deals with if you actually made every single item down the chain and landed on robotics. This top bar is if you bought the previous 2 items and turned them into robotics. You can see in this case we have a 6% margin if I bought mechanical parts and consumer electronics and turned them into robotics. By the way, that's pretty awesome. If you're just watching this video and you're watching it early, I'd get in on that. So to sum up, you can use the chain chart to find market opportunities and see what you should be making. And finally, where the breakdown is in the chain. For example, mechanical parts are actually not worth it to make from P0 to 1 to 2. They're more worth it if you buy the previous mats and sell those at a 4% margin. What I would do with this is if I have a surplus of mechanical parts, I'm just going to turn them into robotics because I'll make a bigger profit. Yes, this is what this bottom bar tells us. It's the same with consumer electronics. You see it's not profitable here and not profitable on the top bar. So you know what to do. We've beaten that horse to death. Thank you very much. But there's a second part of this tool that we can use, the profitability dropdown. This dropdown takes everything we were just doing and makes it very simple. It answers the question, what is the least profitable thing you could be doing right now in PI? Well, that's crafting integrity response drones if you are buying the initial mats. So do not buy the P3s to make this P4. Now, if I filter this the other way, the most profitable thing to make at almost a 200% margin as of this recording is to extract wetware mainframe games, the extract means you make them all the way from 0 to P4. You go literally the entire PI chain up. And I actually misspoke earlier. You're making 659% profit compared to costs. And while that might take you a lot of time, that is a massive return. And I'm looking at this going, man, I gotta get my setup going for these P4s too. What the heck? So to sum up, you can use Adam for Eve's both PI tools to check for profitability and snap to what that item is. And then finally to use the chain chart to see how the chain is, where the leaks are, and what you should do. And we got a bonus one for you. Yes, a bonus tool that you should be checking out. And that tool is actually the playlist in the description of this video. Y'all, we went into literally every part of PI. We've got New Bros, we've got Tech 2s, we've got dangerous areas of space, we've got my literal setup that you can copy and paste. We've got the actual PI templates so you can literally copy and paste. We've got freighter hauling. We've got so much in here that you can use to go get space rich. And we're actually coming to the end of PI. Yes, this is going to be one of the last PI guides we make. That playlist is full. There's almost nothing else to cover. And I'm pleased to say that if you watch that playlist, I guarantee you will be space rich by the end of it. So that playlist is right here for you. Bookmark it. Make sure it's on your bar. Go get space rich, y'all. And if you want the best Eve guides, make sure you sub right here. We'll see ya in the next video, y'all. Thanks very much.